right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for sitting in with us for the next 25 minutes or so. As mentioned, my name is Matt. I run the tech banking group in the European region for JP Morgan, and have spent most of my 20-year career in tech on both sides of the Atlantic, working with entrepreneurs to help scale their businesses up. But no one wants to hear from a banker. You want to hear from the real experts, and that's why I'm delighted to share the stage with Juan and Pablo today to share some stories on what they've gone through, what the last 17, 18 months that have been a bit choppy, to say the least, have been like running their business, and what do they see for the future. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to start off by asking each of the gentlemen to give us their founder story in around 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll jump off from there. So Pablo, why don't we start with you?
Okay. Thank you, Matt, for inviting us. With friends, surrounded by paddle players. I've seen a lot of paddle players that I've already met. So yes, basically, our aim is to inspire and facilitate to absolutely everyone the social joy of racket sports. Back in 2017, when we started the company, we had the impression that the industry needed to be digitized. So we started with an interesting approach from a management software perspective, together with a marketplace for users. So we were facilitating the booking process to absolutely everyone. Over the years, we've become a different thing, probably. We have been working super focused on the player experience, and now we are much more focused on the social interactions and energizing the community of 1 million players that we have today. So basically, Matt, this is the story of Playtomic, right? Juanito.
Yeah, if I can talk about Job and Talent. We're a workforce platform connecting temporary workers with big enterprises. Reason why we exist is to solve actually a pain of that are suffering actually more than 500 million temporary workers in the world that are being treated very bad actually, with poor job conditions, low ability to get into a new job. So we thought that it was a good idea to actually create a platform for those workers actually, and give access through an app to a job in minutes, so they can actually work and guaranteeing at the same time the highest standards from the labor and contracts and perspective. We started with this model a couple of years ago. It has grown exponentially. We operate right now in 11 countries. We have hired during the last 12 months more than 300,000 workers globally, becoming one of the top employers in the world. And the last years have been a complete roller coaster that I would love to actually share a bit more in detail during this fireside chat.
Great. Well, thank you both. So let's talk a little bit about resilience. We talked about that up front, and coming out of the pandemic, if we can all date ourselves back to early 2020, the tech market actually rebounded incredibly quickly. It was a very, very buoyant market. Fundraising was actually fairly easy, if you can ever say that, to do. But things have changed a lot in the last 17 or so months. We've only seen 2 tech IPOs globally of any size. Private capital has really dried up. And we've seen private investors starting to ask some pretty difficult questions of their existing companies around cash burn, run rate to break even, et cetera. So I'd like to dig in a little around how are you guys adapting to this topic. So maybe first, Juan, if we can go to you. How have you adapted at Job and Talent? In particular, how have your dialogue with your investors changed in the last 17 or so months?
Well, actually, it has been quite the same during the last 12 months, actually. But the big shift happened actually Q1, Q2 last year, actually. Mm-hmm. We're coming from probably most frenetic time in history after 1999, actually, in terms of investments, growth. What was spoken at the board was everything about growth and how are you going to be launching new countries, capturing new clients. Unit economics were in the back of those conversations, not so relevant. And then suddenly everything shifted into a completely different world. Actually, it's like we moved from growth to profitability, from unit economics to cash flow generation, actually. And this has generated a situation where actually it's a bit of a chicken and egg. It's like right now in the market where companies do not really want to go to the market to raise money, actually, because the market is so down and investors are offering really low multiples. And on the other hand, investors are not seeing actually good companies because the only companies that they see actually are those ones that are running out of money. So this is actually changing not only for a couple of quarters the ecosystem or the market, is actually making a profound change in the whole market, because when you have had this for more than 12 months, 16 months, 18 months, you get a shift on the way that companies think and what the investors are looking for.
Great. Maybe Pablo, switching gears a little bit, dating back 18 months, the IPO was at the tip of everyone's tongue. You could sell to somebody for a great multiple, or you could raise capital in an up round. So motivation could often be driven by those external events or those capital raising events. Given what Juan just said about what's happened with investors and willingness to deploy capital, how has that changed the way you think about motivating yourself, motivating your employees?
Well, in our case, I think we started to think about this big change that Juan has mentioned even before the drawdown of the Nasdaq in 2022, and we had a very inspiring board meeting in which we put together a plan for weathering the storm, and obviously that adaptation to the enduro environment was tough. We made complicated decisions. We were focusing much more on monetization, reducing costs, etc. Of course, that could be affecting the motivation of the team, the motivation of even the founders. But on the other hand, we've been experiencing an explosion of paddle everywhere, which is our core sport right now inside the racket sports environment. So we saw the opportunity, and not only us, the whole team was really motivated and inspired by the fact that this was going to be a big thing. So at the end of the day, we wake up every morning and we work for a racket sports company. That means that if anyone loves tech and loves racket sports, they are motivated, right? Maybe the circumstances, the market environment is not the best one, but we adapted the company to enduro, and I think we're doing great.
I'd agree, both of you. Let's talk a little bit about Spain. There's been a lot of talk throughout the ecosystem here about some of the challenges of founding a business in Spain. How do you scale it up? The ability to source investments, the ability to attract talent. By the way, the same discussion is being held in every European capital because this is not just a Spanish problem. I think it's an issue the European ecosystem is facing. Things have clearly gotten a lot better over the last 15 or 20 years, but there's more that can be done. I'd like to draw on each of your experiences about growing a Spanish headquartered company and taking it global. And so maybe Pablo, we can start with you. You started off with a focus on Spain and have now worked to bring your business as paddle has grown and racket sports have grown across the borders to take it international. What has worked and what have been the biggest challenges?
Well, actually, the majority of the marketplaces tend to focus on their native, original market. In our case, we did the opposite, probably. We certainly thought that we didn't want to lose the opportunity, the momentum. And we started to develop the company internationally, taking advantage of that massive paddle growth. That was a challenge itself because many factors are involved in that, in terms of product, team, resources. But we saw the opportunity and we started to target different markets. I personally took something like 100 flights in less than 1 year. And it worked well because we didn't want to lose the momentum. And sometimes you need to act in a different way. And the playbook was telling us, no, focus on your native market in the country in which you've been creating the company. But we did the opposite. And challenges, the most important one that I can refer could be when we were talking in Sweden. The service level requirements from a club perspective was huge, and we needed to professionalize the company a lot for doing that, because it's not the same than in the south of Europe, obviously. And these kind of challenges, apart from the product market fit, are huge. So basically, that's the story.
Great. Maybe one, talking a little bit about the US. You guys have had great success expanding internationally, but in particular have really focused on the US market. We've seen a lot of Spanish founders and European founders pack up and move the CEO, move the whole senior team to the US to make the US work. You guys have not taken that approach. I know you're on the plane and you're in there quite often, but how have you managed to grow the US market for job and talent without taking the entire team and moving the entire company to the States?
Yes, what we did is we put a team of 12, 15 people coming from HQ, some of our top people in the company, moved there for 12, 18 months actually, to set the basis of the country with the learnings of previously have launched countries like the UK, Germany, France, Colombia. It's like a set of countries that were very different actually. And they recruit a local team that embraced our culture, because we had some culture holders there actually, 15 people that knew actually how job and talent works and how do we do things. And then after that, that team has increased a lot. Actually, we have more than 250 employees right now in the US, and it's the fastest growing market. It's the biggest market right now in Spain. In job and talent, and it was not necessary to move the C-level. Actually, it was more like a SWAT team, the one that we moved there, and we preserve all of the C-level here in Spain.
Great, good lessons there for sure from both of you. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about your advice to the regulators, to the government, et cetera. If you could say one thing that could be changed here in Spain to make it easier to scale up a business, ask a question to both of you. What would you like to see change either in the ecosystem, the regulatory environment, et cetera?
ESOP. ESOP to attract talent. Companies, we are not manufacturing companies, we're software companies. Software companies are created by engineers, well, and now AI, okay, but mainly engineers, okay? So it's a talent game, actually. So we need to make it super simple for these people to come here and to earn a lot of money, actually, out of here. Right now, the regulation is not very clear in terms of ESOP, shares, and all of that. That creates some tension when you're attracting top talent into this country, and I think we should take it very seriously, actually. I think that some things like Beckham law work very well, but we need more around this area.
Right. Pablo?
Labor legislation as well, you know that, you know a lot about that. Yeah, so labor legislation. Secondly, I would mention VAT management inside Europe. For us as a marketplace, it's pretty messy. And I would say, well, the amount of workload associated to any fundraising stuff. I mean, it's crazy in Spain.
Yeah, just to be precise, okay, when I was saying ESOP, I was mentioning stock options, okay? It's like that, it's a short name for that, so it's labor.
Very good. Great, well let's talk a little about M&A, because one, you mentioned some of the great opportunities that can be created by this tougher market environment. There isn't necessarily funding available for all the companies like there was in the past, and that can create a great opportunity. The two of you guys are quite unique in that your companies have been quite active at M&A from an earlier stage than most startups are. And so maybe we'll start, Juan, a little bit with you. What's been your thought process around the acquisition strategy, and how specifically have you changed what you're looking for in the last 18 months as the macro view has changed?
Well, right now we have the M&A stop, actually. And it's a pity because the market is really attractive right now, actually. But given the access of the restricted access of capital and how expensive it has become from that perspective and all of that, we're waiting a bit, actually. We're still, but some of, the biggest learning on M&A actually that we had is that we underestimated how tough it was to integrate culturally the companies that we were acquiring, okay? It's like, and we have done a lot of acquisitions. So what we did 18 months ago when we started realizing after acquiring a lot of companies that we're starting to have a lot of cultural issues in here and that were preventing us to get the synergies that we were wondering actually after those acquisitions. we put a lot of attention into that, So we, as a C-level, we have been dedicating a lot of our time into town halls. We call it one job and talent, one culture to integrate everything that we have acquired, and that's my suggestion for anyone that is going to be doing M&A in a constant basis. It's like to be very paranoid about the culture actually, and what can go wrong in terms of culture when you acquire so many companies actually.
Yep. Well, turning to you, Pablo, Juan mentioned synergies. You guys have also embarked on some M&A. How have you thought going in about estimating the synergies, and then what's been the experiences actually extracting those synergies, both top and bottom line?
Yes, absolutely. We were acquiring companies much smaller than Job and Talent, so people was critical on that, because when we found founders sharing the same vision than us, and also when we found that the product that they've already built is pretty similar to what Playtomic tries to offer to the market, the easier it was. So that was basically what we've learned from that experience. People and product, right? At the end of the day, is what we have, and we've been accelerating a lot the growth of the company with the inorganic in different countries.
Yep. Okay. Well, there's M&A, you guys buying companies. There's also M&A potentially you guys selling your companies. You guys are clearly operating in very attractive industries. You've hit the escape velocity, become really the leaders in your space. I'm sure that's driven a lot of interest from larger strategics, either to be a partner to you or even to dig around and see if there's an opportunity to acquire you. What would be your advice, each of you, to the audience of how do you engage early? How do you build a relationship with some of the potential partners and some of the potential companies that might want to buy you without sending the wrong signal, without taking too much of the management team's time when you're really focused on growing your own business? Maybe we'll start, Pablo, with you this time.
Well, I think constructive relationships are always positive in any sense, right? So you don't need to be rude with anyone. If they approach you, you have to be always polite and to obviously not disclosing any important information. But at the end of the day, that relationship could become potentially a great opportunity for the company. So in our case, we've bought a lot of companies that they were our competitors in the past. So that's the first message that I would tell them. In my case, particularly, I'm super focused on the international expansion and dealing with the supply of a marketplace. You know how important it is for any marketplace to deal with the supply, in this case, the clubs, the padel clubs, tennis clubs, and that's an important stakeholder for us, a really important stakeholder. We were discussing before the chat. And that relationship are the really ones that they have to be focused on the team.
Yep.
For sure.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, my advice here would be, actually, we have had in the past one acquisition offer, and we said no. Actually, a couple of years ago, it was like quite a decent one. And my advice in here is like, you need to be focused on building the company.
Yep.
And that acquisition, the people that can buy you, they know you. They're seeing you. They're screening you. So I don't see what you gain, honestly, spending time with a potential buyer. Not sure. It's like if you really need to build a relationship. With the fund, it's different because it's good if they see the trajectory, but a competitor knows much more about you because you're taking business out of them.
Right.
You're just like, so if it's a buyer, that is a competitor, okay? It's like even being strategic, opening a new line, that's a different thing. But I would recommend to keep them focused because at least on our case, any approach has come in a passive way.
Yep. Okay. Let's shift to the elephant in the room in every discussion that we're at least having these days, which is AI. You can't talk about anything, it seems, without leading with what's your AI strategy? Are you going to be a winner? You're going to be a loser? Every company I've ever met is going to be a winner, which is intriguing. That's be the first time for any new technology, but I know everyone on the stage and everyone out there is intending to really benefit from AI. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the lessons you guys have taken in the early days here of doing this. And we'll particularly like to start with Juan, because you guys have been an early adopter of using machine learning for a lot of the matching, a lot of the work you've done with matching applicants with jobs. How did you initially start working with machine learning, and how have you adapted that strategy to more specifically target AI into your tech platform?
Reason why we started, we're obsessed about the amount of time that people was at their jobs, the attrition rate, actually. That is the negative part of saying that, actually. We wanted to maximize the way that we're showing jobs into people, and the way to maximize that and the suitability of those jobs into the people, the moment of the truth is, okay, how long this person has been in the job. Because if you get a job through Job and Talent and you're out in 2 days, or in 10 days, or in 30 days, that's a fail for us, okay? So we're obsessed about attrition rate. So we created this algorithm actually using machine learning years ago to maximize the way that we're matching jobs with people. And from 2018, this actually has been better than humans. So the system that we have generates, the people stays longer in jobs when the matching has been created by our machine learning tool than when it's created by or generated by a recruiter, actually. Which is a huge impact from the productivity point of view and for any company that uses us, actually.
Yep, great. Pablo, you guys have done quite a lot of interesting things about trying to match players. Paddle is a very social game, and getting to meet and play with new players you don't know is a really core part of the whole ethos. Talk about how you're starting to evolve that, some of the work you guys are potentially going to be doing about using AI or machine learning to identify talent levels, improve the matching, or anything else you're doing in the company.
100%. Yes, matchmaking is probably the most important part of our value proposition right now. Cities like Milano, Madrid, Amsterdam, it's crazy, the number of people that are playing together. Obviously, AI, apart from becoming a huge thing for boosting productivity or efficiency, could play an important role with that. I mean, for us, this algorithm is simpler than Juan's in the sense of it's just considering a limited number of factors for setting up the level and modifying it. But of course, we see room for using this text for improving the user experience itself. It's the core of Playtomic right now. It's matchmaking. It's the leveling. It's the way that we put together people on the court.
Yep.
So, yes, we're going to explore it for sure.
Great. Well, we've got about 2 minutes left. We'll finish with a little bit of a speed round here. You have to answer in 1 sentence or less, and there's no counterpoints if you don't agree with what the other person says here, just to set the ground rules. But first question, Pablo, who wins in a game between you and Juan in paddle?
Pablo, 100%.
He wins.
Juan, who wins between the two of you in tennis?
I don't know.
Playtomic says that I have better line, but no, he's a better player. He's a better player.
I will doubt about it. I will doubt about it.
1-1.
Okay. Pablo, if you played left-handed and I played right-handed, would I win a point in
Well,
paddle?
the opposite, because I'm left-handed.
Oh, there we go. That's just bad research by the presenter here.
No, you win. You win.
Clearly.
If I play with the right hand, you win for sure.
Okay. Well, I don't think so. Do you use Job and Talent at all at Playtomic?
Well, actually, we hired 2 of the most brilliant sales reps, thanks to Job and Talent services in the past, 2018 maybe. We were sharing the same building. We were working at the same place, so we had fun. So I can say that my company at least has used Job and Talent services.
Great.
That's right. I use a lot, Playtomic.
Yes.
I know.
You're all over the site, so we could see
He
you.
wants to change the level, actually.
Juan, if you hadn't started Job and Talent, what type of business would you be running right now?
Something related to health tech.
Pablo?
I would say mental health. Yeah, I love that things. And yeah.
Spanish startup in the room or somewhere around the ecosystem you're most excited about?
Cover manager, maybe?
Tax down.
Okay. If you had to delete all the apps on your phone and could keep one, what would it be? One?
WhatsApp.
Pablo?
I love Whoop, I love Calm, but Spotify is a one.
Spotify.
Definitely.
Okay. What would be the first tech IPO out of Spain in this next cycle?
No answer from my side. No. Juan, you know much more than I.
Your CFO is in
about
the
IPOs
audience,
and
so,
things.
Sorry, that captures like I don't know.
Okay,
Sorry.
we got two politicians up here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Pablo and Juan for sharing their experiences, really inspiring stories, and clearly a lot more to come from both those companies and some lessons to be learned, hopefully, from everyone in the audience. So thanks for your attention. Appreciate it.